So reviews are one of the most powerful marketing tools that an author and me, when I'm doing their marketing PR, that we have.
Desireé, what did you do when you finished your book, Oubliette?
Oh, I learned all of the mistakes that I now try to help other authors avoid. So at the time, I was the vice president of a marketing agency. Been doing marketing and PR for many years. And I thought, I know how to do this. I can market a book. And then I realized that the marketing and PR industry, as it relates to books, is a totally different thing. And I also realized there weren't a lot of marketers and PR firms out there that were doing for books what an agency can do for other types of products or services. So that was actually the inspiration for me to start my own firm, because as I was launching my own book, I realized I didn't know as much as I thought I did. And the good news there is now I work with authors and I help them with their books.
And so, may I ask what year this was?
This was in 2015. And I don't want to date this video right now, but the book series, and it's turned into a series, is currently being rewritten. And I think that's one of the great things, not only about books, but storytellers in general. We see new revisions of stories again and again. So learning from some of my mistakes, and looking at the expansiveness of the book. I made too big of a book, and I realized, it needed to be a series. I needed to break this down. And as soon as I accepted that, I was able to flesh out some of the characters and the backstory, and really have been having a good time rewriting it. So Oubliette, the series, is now going to be coming soon.
If you were interested in storytelling, you may also like our new book, Story Questions, the sponsor of today's video. It's a story tool that offers you over 1,500 story questions that you can use as story prompts. It's packed with over 40 categories, so whether you are in the brainstorming stages, developing characters, dialogue, or rewriting, it can help you at every stage of the writing process. Think about this statement. Most powerful stories are just great answers to strong questions. We've linked up to story questions in the information section below. Now back to the interview. Desireé, what are the first few things you say to an author who comes to you for publicity regarding their book?
The first thing I want to know is what their goals are, because that's going to indicate what kind of a marketing and PR package we're going to do. Generally speaking, I want them to come to me with enough time so that we can do a program that's called the Author Network. And it's just a 6 or 8 month long retainer with the book launch in the middle so that we have enough time to do the pre-launch marketing stuff, and then enough time to do some of the PR and other post-book launch marketing stuff. And I think that's one of the mistakes a lot of authors make, is they feel now that the book is done and it's going to be released soon, now I'm ready for the marketing. And I want to start with them at least 3 to 4 months in advance, because there's certain things that we need to do that impacts the marketing. For example, getting advanced reviews. That's a biggie. And getting advanced reviews, as the name implies, means doing it in advance. So we have a team of book reviewers. We use some tried and true platforms such as NetGalley, which a lot of the publishers out there use. And we're promoting the book on social media and our own newsletter, etc., to get those advanced reviews. And you need to give that book reviewer enough time to request the book, read it, write the review, and post the review. So all of that takes time. If you've ever wondered, how do we get advanced reviews for books before they're even on the market? Because you've seen that before. The book isn't even out yet, but you'll see blurbs about a book or somebody from the New York Times shouting out this book. It's because once upon a time, back in the days, those galley copies, that's what they were called, galley copies. And even back then, they didn't even have cover art or anything, but they would be mailed out to different folks within the industry, to press, to librarians, to media people, to different folks at bookstores, chains, so that they could read the book in advance and decide whether or not they were going to stock it. Nowadays, that whole system is still in place, but getting some of those advanced reviews out there. So again, those librarians and those bookstore buyers, people in the industry, think of it this way. It's like that B2B or business to business strategy. That way they can do what they need to do in order to, decide whether or not they're going to pick up that book. And then there's several different other things along the way. I tend to work with all of the authors on their branding. In other words, their talking points, the message they want to get out there, because that matters. Nowadays, authors definitely are brands more so than they might have been in the past. Some authors will embrace that. Some are a little bit skeptical. But when we're doing the media interviews for them after the book is launched, we want to make sure that they're ready to talk on camera, do radio interviews, podcast interviews, etc. So that, retainer that has all of those different services, you can kind of imagine it happening over a span of 6 to 8 months, all needs to be strategized. And once I know what it is that they really want, and sometimes I have to pull that out of them a little bit, because it's really easy to say, oh, I just want the world to know about my book. Yes, we all do. That's why all the writers have written all the words in the world. But I mean, are you here because you want to make money? And is that literary fiction novel you wrote that's 200,000 words really going to be that marketable? I can tend to be a little bit harsh and honest with authors because there's a good chance they've been told their writing is great, they've been motivated to do this, and not that I want to break their spirit, but depending upon what they really want to get out of this, I need to know if I can help them or not. In some cases, authors want their story out there because they want to leave a legacy behind. I've worked with authors who were in the war and they just wanted their story out there for the world, but more importantly for their family, their grandkids, their great-grandkids, etc. There's folks that write business books or self-help books, something that can help with their own professional career. That's a totally different strategy too. And I want to be able to look at what they need and want and maybe adjust my packages to suit them. So knowing what their goals are, what they really want to achieve, and making sure that I have the system and the package in place that suits that is what's most important to me.
And going back to reviews for a moment, did you also mention possibly reviews on the back of the book? Is that where you're also giving time for these reviewers so you can have those blurbs?
Yes. And let me parse that down a little bit more, if I may, because all book reviews are not exactly the same. And sometimes the term book review is more generic, whereas we can parse them out a little bit. Because yes, you have the book reviews from somebody like a celebrity endorsement, and let's just call those endorsements. I prefer that term. New York Times, or somebody who is an expert in the field. If it's a book, maybe that's leaning a little bit more toward academia or something that's science-based or medical. You might have somebody who is an expert, a PhD, etc. Blurb the back of the book. The blurb, by the way, when I say that, is just the back cover copy. And that's usually where you see those pithy quotes back there that somebody said something. So those, as a general rule, might not necessarily be picked up from NetGalley. I'm not saying it can't be, but usually those types of reviews are going to happen from either the publisher. Sometimes the publisher is working with other authors in that genre. You see that a lot. This romance author is blurbing that romance author, or this horror writer is talking about this other horror writer. In some cases, it might be who the author themselves know. If they went to a university or school and they have other professionals that are within their sphere who can, give that quote, that's also oftentimes a really good way to do it. Sometimes it could be a celebrity, or an athlete. Maybe the book is a sports book and there's an NFL player or a baseball player or somebody that can talk about the book. They give the book credibility. You're borrowing the credibility from that entity, that brand, that celebrity. again, if it's the New York Times or some kind of a magazine along those lines, that's where you're getting that kind of review. Now, there's also reviews from places like Kirkus, just an industry standard. I often use it as an example. There's a few others that are out there just off the top of my head, Library Journal, Edelweiss, etc. These are more like industry type sites that offer book reviews. And it's a paid review. But what it can do for the author, and sometimes people bristle a little bit, oh, it's a paid review. But also the librarians and the bookstore buyers are going to use Kirkus as a trusted source. Again, they're looking at this in advance because they want to start stocking the shelf with these books, and they want somebody out there who's an authority to, validate them or let them know if this is a good book to stock or not. So with those types of reviews, you can also put those on the back cover too. In the case of Amazon and some of the retail sites, there's also even a place for editorial type book reviews. And that's another term that you'll hear a lot for these types of paid editorial type reviews. These are the ones, again, that you pay for. And on Amazon, there's even a section when you're filling out your author page, your profile, your A+ content, as any author out there who uses Amazon might be familiar with. That is where you want to put those editorial type reviews. So even if you're on Amazon, you're just kind of looking around, you can see there's the consumer reviews, right? And the verified reviews, because Amazon decided to put a little verified sticker next to the ones who have bought from Amazon. But then you can also see the editorial type of reviews. And again, those can be put on the back cover, on somebody's website, used in their social media, etc. And then the other type is the consumer type reviews. So those are the folks that are buying the book, they're giving that honest review. They can be some of the harshest ones out there because they're not going to pull back any punches. Sometimes I'll read a Kirkus review or an editorial review, and it's almost like you can read through the lines. The reviewer is saying, this is a nice slow burn. What's a slow burn a euphemism for, right? Maybe it dragged a little bit. But a consumer review is going to tell you the truth in a lot of cases, and they can be harsh. But that is also one of the ways that consumers, readers, evaluate their next read. We all do it, don't we? And not only just with books, and especially if we're doing any kind of a big ticket item, we look at the reviews. What are other people saying? So reviews are one of the most powerful marketing tools that an author and me, when I'm doing their marketing PR, that we have. And to come back full circle, if I don't have 3 or 4 months to get some of those reviews in advance, it makes it really hard to do the promotion for the book when it comes time to launch.